Yeah, okay, so we'll start. So good morning, everyone. I'm Yaron Velner. I'm CTO of Kaiba Network. Kaiba Network is a decentralized exchange live for almost a year, at least in beta mode. And this talk is about some lesson that we learned, operating an exchange and market making over the last year. So first of all, what is Kaiba Network? Kaiba Network is an interface over a smart contract that allows a user to instantly swap one token to another. Everything is ERC20, of course, based on Ethereum, in a single exchange, in a single transaction where everything is done on-chain. So you simply choose your destination and so your source and destination token. You get a rate. If you are happy with this rate, you do the transaction and you take it. If not, then you just don't use it. Okay, we don't have any order book. Everything is instant. Yeah, let me see. Okay, so this is a demo. Let's see if it actually works. Yeah. Yeah. Almost. Yeah. Okay. So user simply needs to go into our website, connects with MetaMask or any other private key device, choose the tokens you want to swap, and then okay. So with single click plus some MetaMask or Trezor confirmations, we get instant exchange. Everything. Okay, this is a bit fast forward because it's actually live on mainnet. Yeah, and now we'll see even on Etherscan, right? So you see the tokens actually switch hands. You get your token. Everything in a very nice and a smooth user experience in a single transaction. So what happens behind the scenes? So behind the scenes, so user called this Kaiba network and you want to buy this Gnosis token. 1 second. So he wants to buy the Gnosis token. Know that in order for it to be in a single exchange, tokens already should reside on the blockchain somewhere. It's not an order book. User cannot wait. So there are several liquidity providers or reserve in the background that already offer prices and already have these tokens for the user to buy. So the contract chooses for the best offer, eventually send the user Ether to this reserve, and the reserve send Gnosis token to the user, everything in a single transaction. Yeah, okay, so all of this is done based to reserves. It's very complicated implementation, architecture, and operation, which will be the subject to the most of the talk, but before getting into the complex stuff, so what it actually gives, okay, so reserves work really hard in the background in order for user to have a very nice interface, but this interface is not only for users, it's also for third-party applications. So having everything on-chain without any off-chain signatures or hint, etc. So it gives rise to very convenient integration. So this is why most of the big wallets in Ethereum already integrated with us, MyEther wallet, Engine, IM token. All of them provides Kyber exchange experience within their native application. And being fully on-chain makes it very easy for integration. But being fully on-chain gives rise not only to wallet integration, but also for how they call DeFi applications or financial applications in general. So there are projects like Melonport, Itland, now there are more that offer either a hedge fund on-chain or some margin trade, etc. And being fully on-chain, so first of all, it's easy for a smart contract to read the price, so you can get price quotes from us. And it's also easy to execute, right? Because no user hints are needed. They just call the trade function and does the swap. okay, so this is what it allows, and Kaiba network is a protocol, but just being a protocol is not enough. So what we learned over the last year is that, so originally we thought, okay, we'll be, because we are fully on-chain, we are decentralized, user will be willing to pay premium because, we give premium service, it's fully trusted, et cetera, et cetera. But no, we found out that, we have to be competitive also in the prices we give and in the spreads. So this slide is not to say that we always give the best price, but it means that a lot of work that is done at the back end, which user is completely unaware of, is so that we can provide competitive rates for all the tokens we offer. And by competitive rates, so to be honest, in most tokens, we are even semi-competitive also with big exchanges like Binance. But in general, in the decentralized world, even offering a price for a token, not having an empty order book is not trivial. Okay, so we offer somewhere between 1% to 3% spread on 70 plus major tokens. And in order to do that, right, so we apply market making techniques. So market making is where market maker, some entity always fill the order book with buy and sell orders. So in Kaiba, user doesn't really see order book, but in the back end, so we do have contracts that always give ask and bid prices. And the unique thing about Kaiba as opposed to, okay, so market making is done in traditional markets, in stock markets and everything. It is now also pretty standard, in crypto market, but over centralized exchange. But in Kaiba, it's one of the first, and actually to the best of my knowledge, the only one where we really have fully on-chain market making. So this talk is to explain what we do here. So market making in general, not only on-chain, is about price discovery, meaning giving prices to specific quantities of ask and bid, and about having enough inventory to offer. All right, so price discovery. How do we do price discovery? So for some tokens, it's quote unquote very easy because price discovery is not done on Kaiba if a token is already in Binance or any other big market. So we just see the market there, add some markup or possibly reduce markup according to our inventory, and then feed the smart contract with that price. So this is true for very liquid tokens like Omisego, 0x, etc. So we just see the market price and feed it to a contract periodically. Another option is to do something Uniswap or Bancor style. So we have our own inventory-based pricing, which basically just give you a price according to the amount of inventory. So one of the earlier talk presented this automated market making curve. So it's similar, only likely to have a different curve. And now these two are also combined because, okay, we take prices from centralized exchanges, but depending on our inventory of how balanced or imbalanced we are, we also add or remove markup from these feeds. And finally, another thing we did, which turned out to be quite successful, so there are other on-chain exchanges or protocol like Oasis, Uniswap, and DutchX. So one simple option is just to take orders immediately from there. But what we did is we have algorithms on top of it, right? So they do price discovery based on that and some internal inventory, and eventually give some price. So this thing is kind of special to on-chain stuff. And also here, we have this caveat that our strategy, in a sense, is fully visible, which could give rise to attacks. This is why we do make it open source, but we change the strategy often. Another thing that is very special to on-chain market making is that, as opposed to if you market maker on Binance or on NASDAQ, so everything is done instantly. Here we need to feed the prices to an Ethereum contract, so it takes time. It takes somewhere between 15 seconds to 2 or 3 minutes. we don't always know how much time it will take. Of course, there's always trade-off between the gas fee we pay and how quickly it will be updated, etc. As we said, so we give price feeds. For now, it's even more than 40, it's around 60 plus tokens. If anyone here is a developer, it can imagine that, you know, if you want to do it every 2 minutes, it will take huge amount of gas. So what we have in our smart contract is very efficient optimization that actually allow us to to feed, okay, so now it's over 60 prices with only 50,000 gas cost. And if some of you are aware of, so like the minimal transaction cost in Ethereum is 20,000 gas. So we only have 30,000 gas overhead for over 60 prices. So we have this trick where, you know, we assume token will not change too much. So the small changes only take 1 byte per token. So it's very efficient. Yeah, and as for inventory, so yeah, so for example, if you offer Omisego, now user bought a lot of Omisego, so we want to take it now from Binance or other place, so we have automated system in the backend, off-chain, of course, that interacts with Binance, other exchanges, also with our contract, and when we need more Omisego, we just withdraw it from Binance or other exchanges. But of course, this is not so simple because withdrawing from Binance can take somewhere between 10 minutes and 5 hours, right? So there are always these trade-off, right, that we just play along, see what works best. So these are fully automated systems. We have semi-automated systems where the rebalance, for example, we offer Digix token. So Digix is not available in any exchange. So what we do is we just buy large quantities, and this gold token is fairly okay because the gold token is stable, so it's okay to hold big chunks. And then once it gets depleted, or we have excess, so we go and do OTC in the usual channels, completely manual. Yeah, and finally, okay, we also have on-chain resources. So as I mentioned, we can take from Uniswap, Oasis, other dexes. Yeah, and okay, so the thing about, okay, so all these things, maybe beside the on-chain resources, so they require, to have reasonably non-negligible size of buffer. Because it takes time to withdraw from this centralized exchange, because it takes time to do an OTC. And then, okay, so holding given $10,000 of some token, given that you have 70 tokens, and given that we are in very bear market, so it gives rise to very big inventory risk. Yeah, so one thing we were able to do is to get some collaboration from some token projects who actually borrowed us their tokens, and then we are less vulnerable to inventory risk. So inventory risk, we're, okay, so you offer $10,000 of token for sale. It doesn't matter if people are buying or not, but the token price goes down by 50%, and this happens now all the time, right? So you just lose. Yeah, okay, so Kaiba is live since February 2018. I actually was in beta mode until April 2018, but almost a year. We have almost now 70,000 tokens. Our market making, okay, so in Kaiba we do both the protocol, and we have the market making, and we are not the only market making, but these numbers for our market making team, so it is profitable, we don't lose money. Kaiba recently have a lot of traction, mainly from DAI and maker traders, so we do have nice daily volumes with respect to the centralized exchange. And yeah, okay, and these are the lessons we learned. So yeah, okay, so one question people always ask us, okay, so you're exactly, so they used to ask about Bancor a lot. Now Uniswap is very hot, so okay, what's the difference? Why your approach is better or worse? So if you remember the inventory risk I mentioned before, so yeah, okay, for those of you who don't know, so Bancor and Uniswap are fully, so they have this fully automated market making, which is a predictable and deterministic formula over a smart contract. So in Bancor and Uniswap, to get the same liquidity or the same, liquidity here, I mean a spread for a given quantity, and to serve the same volume, they need almost 10 times more inventory than we do. Okay, and this was maybe fine in a bull market, but in a bear market or in average market, these tokens are very risky. So for example, Uniswap, so Uniswap offer very good spreads on DAI and MKR, but they have over $3 million of token there, right? Which is completely unrealistic to expect for every token to have $1 million inventory. And just an example from recent days, so Uniswap has something like $200,000 of true USD, which is kind of US dollar stable coin. And with their $200,000 of inventory, they offer worse spread and serve less liquidity than we do with around $15,000 of true USD. So yeah, okay, so you can say, right, true USD, it's pretty safe to hold, but if it was another token, unstable, it's very risky. Another lesson is how we stop to worry and fear of arbitrage bots. So, like our main concern initially, okay, we have to be very careful with the pricing, otherwise arbitrage bots will come and hit us right away. So first of all, they don't hit you right away, so because arbitrage bots with centralized exchange is pretty hard, but even a bigger lesson that it's not a bad, it's not a bad thing. As long as you profit, you can profit by being arbitraged. So firstly, obviously, if the second part is, the second side of the arbitrage is Bancor or Uniswap, on average, you always profit, but, even if not, even if you are being arbitraged from time to time, as long as in the bottom line you make profits, it's fine, and it doesn't work, all the hassling of being very conservative with the price rates. And indeed, we see that, over a third of our volume is due to arbitrage bots, mainly with Bancor and now Uniswap. Okay, so next lesson is what are the popular tokens? So if you go to CoinMarketCap and, you will search for volume according to exchange. So, immediately you see Omisego, for example, is very big token, a lot of volume on centralized exchange, but almost not, or very little volume on decentralized ones. So what we learn is that, first of all, the popular tokens are ones which are not listed in, centralized exchange at all, or not in any of the big one or popular one like Binance. And one example we see, so Wrapped Bitcoin that we initially launched, which is a Bitcoin-backed token, also, collaboration with BitGo and other exchanges as well, but this is for a different talk, and DGX, which is backed by gold. So these are also DAI is very popular. So these are not offered or barely offered in any good exchange, centralized exchange. So they are popular. Another line of tokens is DAI with the CDP mechanism, and EOS back in the days where it was ERC20 and the ICO was still ongoing. So there's a lot of arbitrage or not even arbitrage activity over DAI because users open CDP, they have to close it, they are willing sometimes to buy DAI at whatever price because otherwise they will get liquidated. In the EOS ICO, when it was still active, so prices were known and there was arbitrage with market price. So there are a lot of direct arbitrage or statistical arbitrage there. So it also gained a lot of tractions. And to this day, so DAI is still our main token by far, and I think in general it's the most popular in most dexes, at least the real volume. And finally we see that, we saw several phenomena where some whale want to dump a lot of tokens. So he doesn't even dump them on Kaiba, he dumps them on other decentralized exchange, maybe in hope that decentralized exchange do not affect the market, which is not really true. But once it is in some order book exchange, then arbitrage bots come and take, so we kind of reflect the market price. So they come to us and arbitrage, for example, with Radar Relay or others. Another lesson is, maybe to be realistic on the volume one could expect. So this is an example of the DGX token, right? So you see this is the volume on Kaiba. And for all of you, it could sound very low. And yeah, you see this exchange has, over $500,000 of volume. But if you go to this exchange, this is the order book, this is the asking bid prices. So maybe you're not really a trader, so you don't know, but the spread here is over 50%, right? Which means that this is completely fake. So this is a very, like strong example, but it's true for most tokens, right? So we are quite okay with, having volumes in the order of $300,000 in maybe slow days to $500,000 plus in better days. So this is currently, you cannot expect much from decentralized exchanges these days. So these are, 4 quick lessons that we learned. So maybe on more high level, like a take-home lesson is that in general, on-chain market making is still very different than classical market making, even for crypto, because it involves a lot of, like unique knowledge and combination of both development and blockchain knowledge with financial and trading knowledge. But once you master it and you can do it well, so it gives rise to a lot of new applications and integration, etc. And if you are a developer, I welcome you to visit our developer portal at developer.kyber.network. You can learn how to integrate with us. We also have a Telegram channel for developers where we give support. So with that I conclude, and thank you. So both token and Ether, and okay, let's say, maybe I'm long on Ether, maybe Ether is my benchmark, but you have to also keep a lot of token, right? So I can give you concrete numbers. So right now in Uniswap, they have $100,000 of true USD. And they offer bigger spread than Kaiba, and Kaiba, Kaiba has $10,000 of true USD. So, but there are no magics here, right? We can only do it because we have a system that once, we are depleted of the inventory, we go to Binance and we buy more true USD. There's no magic. I'm just saying, it's more efficient, because if now you need to hold $100,000 of some very small token, a month from now you will lose $50,000 even if nothing happens, just because the price will go down, right? Yeah, so
step by step.
No, okay, so okay, another downside maybe comparison, to Uniswap. Okay, so actually until 2 months from now, no, you have to do, like full KYC, full legal things. You have to, maybe do your own reserve or find someone who will do it for you. And now we also have permissionless mode where you don't need to talk with us at all, but, we will not provide liquidity for you. You will have to do it yourself. Visuals. Yeah. So these 70 tokens are, all of them are fully KYC'd with full legal approval, etc. Yeah.
So you mentioned that you have this very efficient update mechanism for putting price updates on chain, right?
Yeah.
Can you talk a little bit about how that works?
Yeah. So.
You mentioned you have some byte.
Yeah, it's some byte trick. So like in general, you could say that a price is an integer, right? But you could say that okay, maybe I have a byte base price. And maybe like only another extra byte that, maybe like now every unit of this byte is maybe 0.1%, right? And then, so then 1 byte is enough for like plus minus 12%. So like most of the updates are like that. And then, if it changes over more than 12%, then okay, you do the full update, which is more expensive, but that's more rare.
Wouldn't you still have to store the prices and then just the cost of the S-store, for each price?
Yeah, okay, but like if you have 1 byte, right, so you could store 32 prices, right, in one store, so.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Hi, how are the results of the prices will be fed into the smart contract? What kind of protocol is used?
No, so it's not an oracle. So, okay, most generally, like in the protocol, we just send a transaction, you can decide on the price however you want. In practice, when you want to do price discovery, and every reserve can do its own algorithm. But like one simple approach is to check the price on Binance and kind of feed Binance price to the. But again, it's not something automatic. I mean, you have a system that just read it from Binance and send a transaction. It's not in any way like fully oracleized or something. Yeah. Yeah, okay, so it's not on the slide, but actually, okay, so one thing we already did is disrupt Bitcoin, which is less cross-chain flavor, more like USDT flavor, with full custodian, with licensed custodian who's holding the Bitcoin. We did initially announce a plan for EOS to Ethereum, so it's called the Waterblue Bridge. It's still in research, but there actually we have a plan to have a two-way relay between EOS and Ethereum. So we already did proof of concept. It's supposed to be so relatively cheap because, okay, some technical details. So EOS is proof of stake, so we only have to relay the validator set. And in the converse direction, EOS has no fees, so you can send all the Ethereum blocks that you want, and it costs you nothing. So this is one cross-chain plan. So this is for EOS. For wrapped Bitcoin, we have something, more centralized, and this is currently what we have. But yeah. Okay, thank you.